What's up, Toros? Welcome to the first episode of Ctrl+Alt+DMAC. I'm your host, Ben, joined by the one and only Mike G, aka Professor Geluz. Welcome. How are you today?
How's it going? Happy to be here with y'all.
Good. I'm so glad. So I wanted to start off with a question about your experience as a student. You are an alum. So can you share a little bit about, first of all, why or how you got into audio engineering and what made you choose Dominguez Hills as an outlet to do that?
Right. How to get into it? It's pretty standard. Came from being in bands growing up, background from high school up until probably earlier college, right? But that eventually, we ended up at some point in a studio. I forget the title, but it was just one of those random sort of facilities that you just you pay a specific amount to cut a record. And one of the bands I was with early at the time, we actually did that. And that was the first time I had ever really experienced the recording process itself. I had never, up until that point, it was always we make it to band practice. Yeah, we rock out. Right, and then, that's it, Mm-hmm. But to actually to have to record or actually perform on a recording was just totally different, and I was really into it. Really, me and the band at the time. So, eventually, just started trying to find out how to really learn this process, other than just being in studio. Came across campus almost on a fluke, just because there aren't, at least from when I was coming here, which is probably about maybe 10 years ago, mm-hmm. right? Not to give away too much of age, just kidding. But definitely over 10 years ago, not a lot of colleges were offering sort of this. And Dominguez was one of the ones where they had a 4-year degree for literally audio recording. And I just happened to stumble across it, just being in college and trying to figure out what I'm trying to do, still playing in bands, still trying to be a rock star, but ultimately failing at that. But still able to come back to school and work the program. And it's really through this program that I was able to eventually work as a recording engineer and not just be performing, in a band or what have you. So it's really thanks to this program that led me to find avenues of opportunity, really through networking with students who also went here, and really even the former faculty or the faculty that was here, right, at the time. It just opened a lot of different doors with respect to job opportunities as it pertains to audio, really for audio. So, and now I get to hang out with really all y'all wonderful people in studio, really in the classroom, as we go through the techniques for recording, and it's awesome, at least for myself anyway, to be able to essentially go through the process with people who are interested in recording, just as I was in the past, just being in a band and obviously having no clue on how to record, and eventually finding this place, which has led to all the opportunities that I've actually gotten in life. So with respect to recording, I'm
curious, what genre were you guys playing at the time?
Not really metal, but kind of metal,
I can see
with
it.
Singing vocal, right? I definitely had to scream a note or two. But yeah, really that type of genre.
Do you think you still have that demo tape somewhere?
Yeah,
we could probably listen to.
I have it. I'll play it for you guys in class.
Oh, please.
I got you. My old band still has the 4-track demo, and I still have it. So
that's awesome.
But maybe one day when I'm not that embarrassed, I'll play for you guys in class.
How important would you say the community building aspect is to this program?
It's essential. Really, the only way you're going to get work is through networking. You really have to, just be open to job opportunities, really opportunities, working with people and collaborating. And I can't stress that enough. And really, with respect to this type of industry and audio specifically, this was if not my only network, my first network, or the first way I was able to tap in with people who are actually trying to do similar things and work specifically as sound engineers and then some. So it's huge.
What would you say is if you can think of anything off the top of your head, your favorite memory while coming here as a student?
Oh man, countless hours in the SSL recording room, just trying to knock out senior project, 30 hours with no sleep.
Damn.
Hopefully these are sounding positive. Really,
we want y'all to come here. Please join our program.
Because that is part of the process. It is repetition, but long hours in the studio, really with the team. That's and and ultimately that's kind of what I'm still doing years later, working with a team as we, work with new artists or tackle new projects.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like not maybe communal sleep deprivation brings people closer together.
Of course, yeah. Lack of sleep brings people together.
Do you remember any struggles, or do you remember anything that you struggled with at the time as a student? And how would you say that you kind of overcame them?
Yeah, so I was coming mostly from like a musical background. Like I would perform, I could perform. So it wasn't really, for me, it wasn't super easy to jump into like signal flow specifically for audio, just in terms of like the structure of it or the flow of it. And that was probably one of the main things. You guys obviously we have a desk here. The console workflow, that was a big hurdle for me. Obviously we all, even at the time, I still had a computer, was working with a program. I think it was Logic at the time. Right. So I didn't even know Pro Tools back then. But really it's just that workflow or the signal flow of it. But once you get that, like, and you rinse, repeat that, it's really easier to remember anyway. Right. But that was the biggest hurdle. The analog side of things.
Physically plugging things in. And getting signal from it. Yeah. So we talked about you being a student here. What would you say made you want to come back and teach? And how would you say that your experience as a student here kind of influences how you share your knowledge?
Sure. Well, really through Professor Mejia, I was able to jump back in with y'all. And it was like, how did it happen? One of the previous instructors wasn't going to be here anymore. So I literally came on to just teach essentially what is Synth Lab right now. It was just on a whim. I was working at the studio at the time. And then I remember Cesar was just like, we have an instructor who's departing. We need someone to cover specifically just the Synth Labs. And that's actually how I was able to, tap in, really return to CSU, as someone who has new experience, or rather recording experience from the industry, because everything that we do on campus, or rather in the classroom, those are literally one-to-one experiences from the studio, or at least our recording sessions. So to be able to bring that back, I think is like, for me, is like super important for myself, because that's what was given to me. Like I was taught this, like I didn't come in and self-teach myself through YouTube and all that. So I think it's important to just be able to give whoever's interested in audio, or really wanting to learn this trade or work in the industry, give you guys the workflows you need for specifically any type of scenario in terms of recording. A lot of the stuff we do are the result of like a mishap in the studio. Now that we have the solution, that's what we try to present in the classroom anyway. Right. At least for our stuff.
Yeah. Right. I think that's one of the main things about this program, is that it's very prevalent that the instructors here are not only obviously professionals, but alum. So it's almost like being taught by an older brother or an older sibling. Right. You know what I mean? And
it's from the same network. That's the weird thing about it. I can't stress that. Like really all the opportunities I've had have been, the source of it was really my attendance here, and then eventually coming back to work here as well and work with y'all. So I think it's just like really important I can't stress the network enough. Yeah. And it's an awesome place to start or continue, really.
What would you say is your favorite part about teaching now?
Hanging out with y'all. Why? Because I have no idea what new music is now, and I really look to all of y'all to give me some knowledge. Yeah. Two-way street. You don't just have to listen to me. Let me listen to what you guys are playing.
It's about I get that. We're both sharing knowledge to each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. What about in the field? What do you think your favorite part of that job is?
Work. We get to work with the most interesting people on the planet, right? Like musicians, artists, everyone's coming from different background, different style, genre. And for us, having to work the process, because it's interesting, as far as recording, a lot of the stuff is like rinse, repeat, right? If we're cutting a record or recording specifically a vocal, doesn't really matter what style or genre. We still have to maintain sonic integrity, right? So having to do sort of similar processes across different types of music or working with different types of people, it's always new learning experiences every time. Right. And that's what I really get a kick out of. Every new session is going to spawn a brand new story after the session. And you see, Cesar, Noel, we joke all the time that hopefully we'll have enough stories to write something one day. Right? Yeah. Fun experiences, both good and bad, always mostly good.
Yeah. Right? what do you think it takes to be successful, or at least, stay afloat, especially, the first kind of couple years after graduating? Because I feel like a lot of students don't really expect to be dropped off. So what would you say, like, it takes to
maintaining this network and saying yes to a lot of gigs, even though you don't really dig the music? That's a big hurdle, at least definitely for me, learning the process. Like, there's a ton of stuff that, like, I don't want to say y'all are gonna have to work on, but I've definitely worked on a ton of stuff that I didn't get, we'll say, right? But that doesn't really change our approach to process, right? Or to completing the work. So I think that's just really important, being open to whatever the production is requiring. That takes a lot, right? But definitely to focus on really the end game of the production, whatever that is. Yeah, that's really important.
I feel like that gives you strength, and it kind of diversifies your catalog, I guess. Working on stuff that you don't particularly. I mean,
we all want to do record metal bands all day, right?
But sometimes we gotta. Do what is it?
That's not really my line. I'm trying to quote someone.
Me too. Work hard, play later, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Just repeat the process, get better at it. The only way to get really good at this is to do this really every day, if not most days. Yeah. And really just working with everyone. That's why, like, even in the classroom, a lot, even like certain projects, we stress collaboration and really working with each other, because ultimately, when you guys get out of here, specifically from campus, that's gonna be the move. Like, get comfortable being in rooms where it's very active, right? And you're working with not just one or two different producers at a time, right? So just be aware of that. But the more you do it, you'll get more comfortable speaking to people. Especially like as newer students come in, we're not always open to being participating constantly, right? But I can't lie. Even when I was started here, I was pretty reserved, but as we do more session or do the work, you get better at it, and you start to get more confident. Yeah, want to work with more people and continue to collaborate.
It's like building a muscle, kind of.
Absolutely, yeah. Every day too. This is why we try to get you guys to open Pro Tools.
Yeah, it's important. It's important, and do it before you get here too. That's my advice. Is there has there ever been a point in your career where you've kind of felt like you made it, or any point where you've gotten close at least?
Making it is different for everybody.
Sure.
I mean,
your version then?
Yeah, I'm very happy right now, because I get to, like I said, I get to work, I get to do studio work. I get to come with you guys in the classroom to work on basically every technique that we do in industry, or really in session. We're doing it in the classroom. Same deal, or at least similar workflow, right? And I think that's just pretty important. Yeah. Like, I can't stress the consistency of it. Really, like, you bring up muscle, right? Like, you work it every day, you're going to get better every day. Matter of fact, that's going to be the reason why they approach you or want to hire you. Yeah. And that's, and we talk about that sometimes too. Try to get specifically decent, or at least a decent amount of skill in specifically one or two different things. Everyone wants to record, mix, master, and perform, but try to focus on like one or two of those things, because I can guarantee you that's why they're gonna hire you. Yeah, that's ultimately what you want, sort of like as you enter really the business, if you will. Yeah, and you build those skills starting here. Yeah,
I have a rapid fire question, I guess. Is there any? And there is a response, I guess, that we're looking for. Is there any hidden talents or something kind of underrated or unknown about you that you feel like sharing?
I don't know. Instrument-wise? I don't know.
Just in general, maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
I was told, I did my research, I was told that you are a martial arts professional.
Wow, okay.
I did my research. I don't mean to nardwar you, but I did my research.
Definitely not professional, but I'll try not to get hit. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely practice jiu-jitsu, which is, nice. More like a grappling martial art. It's like not really wrestling, but there's some stuff that takes from there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's I use that for like mental health, right? Studio is awesome, but it can be taxing. But I'll do some training or martial arts.
That was my next question. Sorry, no, you're good. That was my next question.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Can you fight right now?
No.
How would you say you create like a good balance of not overworking yourself and not having it affect your mental health.
Right. Stepping away for moments if you have to. That's really, I think like it's really important. Like, because like you can be in session all day and like start to get a little loopy. It's just important to like take a moment and or take a break. That's all it is. Especially when we're in studio, like it's like one of the studios I used to work for, like there were no windows.
Wow.
So there's like an outer door. So I would literally walk outside and, you know, sometimes it would just be dark already. We didn't know that the time had passed. And just that moment alone, just taking a moment away from the console or from the work was enough for me to just like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Now I got different outlets like martial arts, but you know, on the weekend, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But just finding time. Sorry, were you looking for more like a work balance thing or?
I guess so. If you can like,
I don't know, man. I might not be the one to ask that because it's pretty scattered brain right now. I'm not gonna lie.
That's okay.
Work can be hectic. Also, like, you know, dealing with stuff.
Yeah,
totally normal. But try to find time for yourself when you're surrounded by producers and engineers and people working with you or family, right?
Because ear fatigue is real.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just remember that in a studio with no windows, you want to take a minute to actually breathe fresh air. That's like really important. That's from what I remember anyway.
Do you have any favorite memories while being in the industry?
A really cool one is I got to work with an up and coming young artist who was named Gabby Wilson at the time.
Okay.
Who is now the artist known as HER or her. Right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't know it at the time, right?
Yeah.
I was working for a producer named Harmony Samuels, right?
Shout out.
Yeah, because of those sessions, I was able to be in rooms with those types of artists.
Yeah.
Up and coming artists who later blew up to do great things.
That's
things
really cool.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, she's a great performer.
Yeah. And I remember the studio session. It was literally like a writing session at the time in North Hollywood. And I think she had brought her mom, who was Filipino. And I think I tried to speak to her in my language because I'm also Filipino.
Right.
And I think she immediately hit me with the English. I was like, my bad.
Yeah.
I just felt like slightly embarrassed for a second. I tried to be like, you know, trying to warm it up. And I was like, never mind. I'll just chill. I'll just focus on the work, you know.
That's okay. It could have worked out, I guess.
But yeah, that one definitely sticks out.
That's funny.
And we know who that artist is and the amazing music that's being done.
Yeah. How many times do you think you work on something that you wish would blow up, like talent-wise, that doesn't really get the recognition it deserves? Does that make sense?
I feel like anything we work on, like we'll want them to kind of like go, right? Like at least like that's why that kind of, at least for me, it kind of fuels me working for that for that project or whatever. I'd say all of them, like. Yeah, even the ones with the interesting stories where sometimes there's always going to be like issues or disagreements with session. That doesn't take away from completing the work or actually wrapping up the session or knocking the project out, right?
Right.
But yeah, dude, we always want like the stuff we work to, the artists that we work with to be successful.
Yeah.
That's really why, that's the whole point of this, right? It's interesting what we do specifically because it's part of the process, right? And it's actually to support artistry. Like in terms of the recording, you know, we focus on really we look at it two different sides of the glass, you know, whether the artist or the tech side, which is the engineering. The point is to make it as good as we can so that it can go, right? Like sonic, for our end is what? Sonic integrity, the production, the right tones, right? But ultimately we want the artist to succeed.
Yeah. I'll finish off with this last question. It's pretty basic.
Yeah.
What advice or how do I word this? Like, because again, this podcast specifically is for prospective students who are interested in the audio engineering world. What advice would you have for students who were like you, perhaps in a band or interested in recording in general? What kind of advice would you give them to like get started specifically here?
Right. Sign up. No.
Yeah. Step one, sign up.
Get here. Really be open to working with people because a lot of the times with respect to our industry, recording and even really I'll call it computer music making. I don't want to say there's isolation, but there's definitely a lot of us kind of flying solo or working independently. Right. But here you're gonna end up working with different artists. Really, everyone's coming from an artist or tech standpoint here, right? But just get ready to work with different people and learn specifically the processes for recording here.
I've definitely learned that here. Coming from no background in making music, it's definitely been important to like collaborate with people because it really takes a team to record something.
Right,
like it's really not just singing in front of a microphone and then pressing record.
That's literally one aspect of it, right? And I think ultimately here you learn the process top down as far as recording all the way up to essentially releasing that material, whatever it may be. Right?
It makes you, at least for me, it makes me enjoy the art a lot more.
For sure.
I definitely feel like I listen to music a lot more differently in a more appreciating way.
That's right. And I think that's probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like be more, and a friend have told me this, be more grateful, right? For things and situations and experiences all the time, right? Especially here, especially if it's new. Always working with new people will help us understand the process better. Yeah. Ultimately.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by. You got anything else you want to plug? Any Instagram ads? Anything you're working on?
Appreciate y'all.
Yep. And if you're a prospective student, or if hopefully you've already applied, you'll see Professor Geluz soon in your audio synth labs. And he's great. I love Mr. Geluz.
Sometimes.
All the time. Don't talk yourself down. But yeah,
appreciate that.
Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you so much, Torres, for tuning into the first episode of Ctrl+Alt+DMAC. I'm Ben. This is Michael Geluz. We'll see y'all on the next one.